Hi there, this is Paul Williams speaking, and your Ford dealer presents the official football films of the Michigan-Illinois game, which will be brought to you after a word from your Ford dealer. Here's the kickoff by Paul Douglas of Illinois in the white jersey. Going down to Bill Putich, takes it near the goal line, starts upfield to the 5, the 10. He's up to the 15, cuts out, gets past the 20, and finally is hit by big Bill Tate and knocked out of bounds on the 22-yard line. And you can see the weather is pretty bad. Snow coming down. Peterson in motion, takes a handoff from Dufek, comes wide, cuts back in, and is knocked down by Chuck Fox, who didn't make the tackle, but he got up to about the 26. Boys find it going pretty slippery. Ball goes back to Dufek. Again, the handoff to Peterson. Peterson comes forward, fights his way down to about the 28, but there's a 15-yard penalty for holding on Michigan, and Michigan goes back to the 10. Single wing to the right. Peterson in motion out to the right. The ball to Dufek, coming straight ahead and getting nowhere as big Joe Cole comes in to pile him up. Tony Mompson getting back in punt formation. Boys bring the end in close because it's pretty slippery. They don't want to take any chances on having a punt block. Mompson's kick away, going downfield, and Ozzie Clark standing around it with Big Tom Johnson. Ball goes dead on the Michigan 49. Illinois takes over. Fred Major, Jr., calling the signals, and he gives a handoff straight ahead to Dick Raklovitz, who gets about a yard before he's piled up by Zatkoff and Mompson. Ball this time handed off to Ronnie Clark. Ronnie gets away from one tackler, is finally pulled down after a gain of about a yard, and it's third down for Illinois. Ball this time handed off to Don Stevens. Stevens was in there in the place of the injured Karras for Illinois. Johnny Karras didn't see action throughout the entire ball game. The punt, Don Laz, Illinois' pole vaulting champion, punting downfield. Ball going to about the 17-yard line. Chuck Fox standing over it. Michigan takes over, 1st and 10. Ball goes back to Ortman, who goes off tackle, but there's a whistle on the play. Michigan was offside. Ball to Dufek, starts through, and Joe Cole, big number 56, stops him in a big hurry. No place to go that time because he was met, and suddenly Peterson going in motion out to the right. Ortman running wide. Watch him keep those feet under him pretty well as he tries to run on this slippery field. And watch the boys slip. No one can get purchase enough to drive anywhere. Tony Mompson back. Punt formation. There's his kick going downfield. Down to about the 44-yard line of Illinois. And again, the Michigan boys gather around and nothing happens. Major takes the ball. The handoff is to Don Stevens running wide. Gets away from Ozzie Clark and Mompson, but Don Peterson comes up to throw him out of bounds on the 44-yard line. Pass thrown downfield, incomplete, intended for Chuck Fox. One of the two passes Illinois threw all day long. Handoff is to Raklovitz, and the ball bounces out of his hands. Here's a break for the Wolverines. Recovered by Tony Mompson on the Illinois 43. But watch how those breaks even up. The snow's coming down thicker. It's pretty slick. Dufek on a spinner. And the ball bounces out of his hands. Before he's hit, it's recovered by Illinois, and the Illini take over. Ball to Major. Handed back to Stevens. Stevens gets up for about 3 yards, but there's a penalty on Illinois. 15 yards for illegal use of the hands. Handoff is to Ronnie Clark, and our cameraman missed that one, and the boys didn't miss Ronnie. He was thrown for a loss way back in Illinois territory. Coming straight ahead, Dick Raklovitz, and he's met by Al Wall and Tony Mompson. It's very little gain. Punt formation for the Illini. Again, they send in Don Laz. Pass goes back to him. Gets it off. He's rushed. The ball takes a good bounce. Gets by Don Peterson. Goes down to the 20-yard line before he picks it up. Ortman in front of him. He starts upfield. Gets about 7 before he's thrown by Big Amos Jones. A lateral from the tee out to Don Dufek, thrown out of bounds at about the 27 or 28. Ball to Dufek on a spinner. Coming straight ahead. This time he finds a fairly good hole, but is tripped up and goes down after a gain of about 3 yards. Ball to Ortman. Ortman cuts upfield, and one-hand tackle by Chuck Borio pulls him down. Mompson back again in punt formation. There's his kick going downfield. And the Michigans gather around, and Al Brodsky, the Illinois safety, lets it go. The Illini in their white jerseys take over. Handoff is to Don Stevens at the right halfback. Don gets almost up to the 40, not quite. Split T for Illinois. Handoff is to Ronnie Clark at the left halfback. He gets just past the 40. That white stuff isn't on your screen. It's in the picture. It's snow. It was a very rough day. Don Stevens going to the 45, about the 46 before he's thrown back. And it gets rougher later in the picture. Pass back to Laz. Partially blocked. Going downfield. Ball to the 37. And Chuck Fox picks it up. He was all over the field, this big number 33 for Illinois. Ball to Ortman. Ortman going wide. There's no hole. He tries to make one, and he finds it's pretty tough on a day like this. Wolverines try again in the single wing formation. Dufek on a spinner, and Dufek finds that reception committee is everywhere. In motion, Don Peterson going out to the right. The ball to Ortman. Ortman cuts upfield, tries to cut upfield, but he can't get anywhere. Don Smith piling him up. Tony Mompson dropping back in punt formation. Tony's kicking, gets it away, and it goes to Al Brodsky at the 20. He goes up to 25 and is headed about the 27. Illinois starting now. Handoff is to Dick Raklovitz. Raklovitz breaks out in the open, and Harry Ellis pulls him down. Harry had dropped back with the play. The Illini trying again from their T formation. Ball is to Raklovitz, straight ahead, fighting his way forward up to the 40, battling for every yard. Again, the handoff to the right halfback, Stevens. Stevens breaking into the clear down in Michigan territory. Cuts back over Don Peterson, gets to the 27, and Peterson hurt his leg on the play, goes out of the ball game, and didn't return. Handoff to Raklovitz, straight ahead, down to the 24. This time it's Ronnie Clark trying to fight his way forward. Gets virtually nowhere as the Wolverines come in there to hold. Handoff to Stevens. Stevens going forward, fighting down for about 3 yards, trying to pick up a little yardage, and that's the end of the quarter. The score, 0-0, end of the first quarter. 4th and 2 for the Illini. They're on the 20. Ball is handed off to Raklovitz, and he tries hard but doesn't make a first down. The boys think he did, but he doesn't, and Michigan takes over. Passes to Dufek. Dufek coming straight ahead, tries his way forward for about 3 before he's pulled down. The snow let up for just a moment, but now it's coming back in a hurry. And there's Dufek going straight ahead, still trying to fight his way up the middle. As you can notice during the ball game, there's very little fancy ball handling. Ball is to Dufek again, hangs on to it, and Big Joe Cole comes through and hits him again. Cole played a terrific ball game. Tony Mompson back in punt formation. His kick going downfield, taken by Brodsky at the 35. He sidesteps. Al Wall hits him first. Don Oldham gets in there. Everybody joining in. And Illinois takes over. The ball going to Don Stevens, and he gets up to about the 43 before he's pulled down by Oldham and Tony Mompson. Time the handoff is to Raklovitz, straight ahead, and Mr. Raklovitz finds the going a little tougher than he found the rest of the day. So Illinois goes back in punt formation. Snow beginning to come down a little harder now. Laz gets the ball away. Taken by Chuck Ortman, who stutters, runs back a little bit, decides to come upfield, and is hit very hard by Chuck Brown, number 30. and the Wolverines take over on their own 24-yard line. The ball to Dufek, handed off to Oldman. Oldman running wide. Al Tate breaks through, gets a hand on him, misses. Nethery pushes him out of bounds as he gets up to about the 30. Wolverines trying to come upfield. Coming straight ahead is Dufek, still plowing his way in. A one-hand grab by Joe Cole again, who wreathed himself around Mr. Dufek's neck and stayed there most of the afternoon. Hartman running out wide, looking for a pass receiver. There's his throw downfield, intended for Ozzie Clark, incomplete. Single wing to the right for the Wolverines, and we missed a play there, so we'll try it again. Ball back to Dufek. Dufek straight ahead, gets in the open, breaks down almost to midfield before he's finally pulled down. Watch that snow come down. It was really driving. Hartman running out wide again. There's his throw. Intended for Clark, incomplete, knocked down by Chuck Brown. Dufek gives the ball to Putich. Back to Hartman. Hartman's throw downfield, this time intended for Dufek, and it was knocked down by Lynn Lynch. How would you like to be playing on a field like this? Quick kick by Hartman. And it goes into the end zone, out of bounds, and the Illini take over on their own 20-yard line, 1st and 10. Ball given to Rakovitz. He breaks out. Gets away from one tackler, gets away from another, coming upfield. One man back to beat, and it's Don Oldham, and he finally pulls him down as he gets into Michigan territory. This time the ball is given to Don Stevens. He fights his way down to about the 43. The Illini on the march, and this one's going to pay off. Ball given again to Stevens. He's trying to fight his way forward, gets to about the 40. Fred Major, Jr. is the quarterback, handing the ball this time to Rakovitz. Rakovitz gets down to the 38 before he's thrown back hard, but the forward motion of that ball is what counts. Ball to Ronnie Clark at left halfback. Ronnie gets forward to about the 37. Ball given to Rakovitz again. He's fighting his way down. He's inside the 30. Watch him try to drive. Gets to the 29. Sort of ooches a yard. Fred Major calling. Ball handed off again to Rakovitz, but not much of a gain as the Michigan line tightens up a little bit. Stevens is hit. Tom Johnson broke through to hit him. And now the Illini are forced to try and get down on that gain. Ball is handed off to Stevens. Watch him go. Goes between those two blockers, gets away from a tackler, fights his way down. Was in the clear, but stumbled and fell on the 6-yard line. And it's 1st down, goal to go for the Illini. On the first play from the 6, the ball is handed to Stevens. Ozzie Clark breaks through, slows him down. Don Oldham's up there. Tony Mompson comes up to help. And he's thrown out of bounds at the 7-yard line, a loss of 1 yard. This is the time for you quarterbacks to guess. Going straight ahead is Rakovitz, who picked up a yard before he's brought down by Zatkoff and Tom Johnson. Now it's 3rd down and 6. What would you do? Well, let's watch what Fred Major does. Watch the number 10 at the left of your picture. He's out of it for a moment. There's a throw, and he's back in right on his fingertips. Tony Klemick, and he catches that pass for a touchdown. 6-0 the score in favor of Illinois. Fred Major will hold the ball. Sam Rebecca will attempt the extra point. And it's good. 7-0 the score. Illinois 7, Michigan nothing, with about 3 minutes and 3 seconds remaining in the first half. Paul Douglas kicking off. Ball goes downfield. Putich drops it, picks it up, starts upfield, gets to about the 22, and Douglas, who made the kickoff, gives him a necktie tackle, and he's down. Single wing to the right for the Wolverines as the snow begins to come down a little harder. Hartman looking for a pass receiver. Throws, it's batted down at the line of scrimmage, almost intercepted. Watch these boys slide around when they try to run. Oldham coming out wide to the right. Hartman back, still looking for a pass receiver. Dancing, throws it downfield, and it's knocked down, intended for Lowell Perry. Oldham was also out there. Now he's in motion to the right again. Hartman running wide. Very tough to pass during this stuff. And that pass was intended for Lowell Perry, but it was incomplete, and the Wolverines have to punt. Thompson getting the kickoff. Goes out of bounds in Illinois territory, just in Illinois territory, and it's 1st and 10 for the Illini. Hand off to Raklovitz. Looks as if he might break out for a moment again. Drives his way down inside Michigan territory before he's finally pulled down. Hand off to Raklovitz again. Straight power football. Quick opening from the tee, and he's down to the 43. Ball is handed off to Don Stevens straight ahead. Stevens at right halfback in place of the injured Johnny Karras. Raklovitz again trying to go straight downfield. Head linesman marks the forward progress of the ball. Ball this time given to Pete Bacchus. He tries to fight his way downfield, pulled down, and the score 7-0. Here's the second half kickoff. Douglas kicking the ball downfield, taken by Pete Palmer, and as you can see, the snow has continued to come down during the halftime intermission. Palmer finally brought down, and the Wolverines try to get underway and get that touchdown back. They're trailing 7-0. Oldham taking the ball on a handoff, gets up to about the 32. Remember that snow is in the picture. It's not on your television set. Hartman coming wide, starts upfield, gets off his best run of the day, comes upfield. Here's a blocker, tries to take a man out, and he runs into Chuck as he gets down there. It was Ozzie Clark trying to take out Herb Nethery of Illinois. That was a 22-yard gain. Dufek starting downfield, and again he's pulled down by this boy, Joe Cole, who was all over the field. Ball to Dufek. Dufek on that spinner, straight ahead. Cole slowed him down this time. Paul Douglas came up to put the clincher on. You can barely see those numbers on the Wolverines. Ball going back to Hartman. Watch him as he runs, trying to keep his feet under him, and watch the boys slide. Oldham in motion, going around to the left. He's running wide, cuts upfield, hit, and thrown back. Illinois takes over as Michigan failed to make it a first down. Fred Major calling. Handoff straight ahead to Raklovitz. Raklovitz fights his way down for about 7. Finally pulled down, and watch the boys slide. The weather, as you can see, is getting worse and worser. Handoff is to Don Stevens as he tries to come forward. Stevens coming around, fighting his way down before he's pulled down by Ozzie Clark, and the boys slide home a little bit. It's punt formation. Don Laz back. Dan Sabino, the Illinois center, looks around to make sure everybody is ready. Takes a second look, and the boys took a little too much time, so they're penalized 5 yards. This time they got it off in a hurry. Laz kicking downfield, the ball bouncing past Oldham, and the Illini gather around to see what's going on there, and Michigan takes over. Goodrich calling. In motion is Oldham. Dufek coming straight ahead off that spinner. Hit. Gives ground. And the boys slide over now. They need their ice skates at this moment. The ball to Dufek again. It's handed off to Don Oldham. Oldham running wide. Watch him gallop now. He's not running. He's just galloping in there, trying to keep those legs underneath him. Drives forward for a little pull down. He's hurt on the play, and little West Bradford comes in at the right halfback. He's in motion out to the right. The ball goes to Dufek, fumbles, and falls on it. Covers it for a loss of about 3 yards. Single wing to the right. Ball coming back to Dufek. He hands it to Ortman, and Ortman lets it slip out of his grasp and falls on it. Boys having a little fumbleitis, and you can see why. That stuff is snow, real wet, slushy snow. Bradford in motion out the right. There's a quick kick by Ortman. Ball going downfield. being chased by Al Broski. He lets it bounce. It goes down to the 9-yard line and rolls dead. A very good quick kick by Hartman. The boys all pushing each other out of the way. They don't want anybody to touch that ball. Laz back in punt formation. Illinois kicking on first down. Just gets it away. Clark got his hands on it, but couldn't block it. Tom Witherspoon lets it bounce, and Michigan takes over. Now the Wolverines are in single wing back to the right. The little right halfback is Bradford. Bradford fakes by. Dufek goes straight forward. Gets nowhere. And Michigan is penalized 15 yards for illegal use of the hands. Bradford in motion out to the right. Ball back to Dufek. Handed to Ortman. Ortman looking for a fast receiver. Decides to run. And should have decided a little sooner because the boys were waiting with open arms. Hartman back again. This was supposed to be a screen pass out to Dufek. It bounces over his head as it's partially blocked by a non-rushing lineman. And Bradford goes in motion to the right again. Ball back to Dufek. Handed to Ortman. Ortman throws it downfield. And it's complete to Lowell Perry, but there was a 15-yard penalty against Illinois on the play, and Michigan took the penalty. Hartman throwing. Ball downfield, incomplete, intended for Don Oldham. Confirmation for the Wolverines. Watch the Illini rush. They're trying to get through there, but Tony Momsen gets the kick away. And it's going into the end zone, so it'll come out to the 20-yard line, where the Illini take over, and it's getting colder and snowier as Raklovitz comes straight up the middle, trying to fight his way forward, and Witherspoon shoves an Illinois man over the ball carrier. Fred Major Jr., the quarterback, and the handoff to Raklovitz straight ahead. No deception and a lot of power. And that's the kind of ball you want on a snowy day like this. Again, the handoff is to Raklovitz, who tries to go straight ahead. Then one of the boys is dragged out of there. The T formation for Illinois. Handoff is to Pete Backrus. Backrus trying to go wide around his own right end. Gets virtually nowhere, and Don Laz goes back again to punt for the Illini. And he gets it away, dropping the ball rather low. Coming downfield, Witherspoon lets it bounce. The boys gather around again. I think they just do that to get warm. And believe me, they need to get warm on a day like this, as you can see. The ball given off to Bradford as he goes wide. Cuts upfield. Watch this little boy scamper. A one hand turns him around. He hasn't got much weight, about 150 pounds, but he makes a nice run and a first down. He's in motion out to the right, Bradford. Hartman gets the ball, comes back up. Still trying to plow his way forward, but this Illinois line wouldn't be moved all day long. One of the great exhibitions of line play we've seen all season. Ortman gives the quick kick away, and it's partially blocked. Falls back in there, but Illinois was offside on the play. Received a 5-yard penalty, and Ortman will try the same thing again. Watching, he's real close. There's his kick coming downfield. And it goes out of bounds on about the 13, and you can see by the marks in the snow, there's very little doubt about where it is. Illinois takes over. The ball handed to Raklovitz straight ahead. Just straight power football sliding in the snow. And there's the end of the quarter. Illinois still in front, 7-0. Second down and 7 as they start out, and they decide to kick. Sabino looks up. There's the pass. Laz gets it away. Taken upfield by Tom Witherspoon. Watch him slip as he tries to come upfield. That gives you some idea of how bad it was and how that snow was. Bradford in motion out to the right. The ball to Dufek on a slant play. He picks up about 2, but didn't get much drive there. Again, the Wolverines try the single wing with Bradford going out to the right. Dufek tries to come wide this time, and Big Al Tate breaks through and brings him down. Tate was in there all afternoon. Tony Momsen back in punt formation for the Wolverines. Ball goes back to Tony. Gets the kick away. Al Broski lets it bounce. He's taking no chances. It's down to about the 19, 18-yard line before it rolls dead. Now the Illini kicking right back. They want to get that ball out of their own territory. Goes out of bounds. It's still in Illinois territory. Michigan takes over, tries to go. There's the T formation. Dufek taking the ball straight ahead. Now it's single wing again. Bradford in motion out to the right. Ball goes back to Dufek. Dufek plunges forward. Got almost into the clear. A one-hand grab by Len Lynch pulls him down. Bradford in motion to the left now as the snow gets harder and harder. Hartman looking for a fast receiver. Decides to run. Stutter starts upfield. And it's just about the end of the game, and we cut off a little of the film here because the snow was so bad. Mompson kicking. The ball is going to go into the end zone. The game ends with a score 7-0. Don't forget to be with us next week when Michigan will try to get back in the winning department, when the four dealers will bring you official football films of the game between Michigan and Indiana. Paul Williams saying goodbye and good luck.